What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of that Super Dope Podcast. This is our long-awaited Stephen Brid. We've been trying to get him on here for a little while.
Indeed. My apologies for the delay, but we finally made it.
It's all good.
Do they know about the first attempt we had at this?
I guess we'll talk about that. Yeah. We had a first attempt at this one, and
we did.
It went far too long, and
yeah,
wasn't that great.
It wasn't. It turns out I'm not as interesting as they thought I was. So.
We're your host, Marcus.
Good line.
Yeah, let's get started. So tell us a little bit about like your background. Like, who were you back in high school and college? And
so, I mean, I think in high school, it's kind of hard to be so introspective, but I think it was more so just I was kind of focused on like getting my shit done, getting my shit together. I was definitely like, I had good grades. I had the entire 9 years. Like, I'm not one of those guys that's like, oh yeah, I started a business with a fucking 2.0 GPA. Like, nah, that's not the case. And I don't even necessarily think that that's the majority of people who start businesses, but I'm sure that there are plenty of them who say, hey, look, like I fucking dropped out and did this and that. But no, like I was generally a pretty good student, and
I feel like those are the special cases that people hear about the most, only because
exactly.
they stand out.
Yeah. I mean, you want to hear about the outlier case, right? You wanna believe that with a 2.0 GPA,
someone can
go.
do it. Yeah.
Exactly. The story sells itself. That's why.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So that was that. I knew from the beginning that I wanted to go out for college. Like I was like, yo, I'm dead set on leaving Miami. Like I think I want to have that out of state experience. I want to make sure I leave, and just fucking, that's it. Forget about everything and go somewhere else. So I ended up going to USC in LA.
Nice. Yeah.
So that was fantastic. I got in pretty much full ride. So I was like, everybody, I'm out. Like,
you said peace out to all the homies.
Everybody, bro. I mean, in a good and a bad way, right? Good way because like you're going somewhere where you're gonna grow, personally, professionally. But in a bad way, I mean, obviously living on the opposite side of the country is gonna create some distance between like you, your family, and friends. But if you're not putting yourself in, in those situations, like what are you doing? Like you need to be uncomfortable. You need to be like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this with like whatever uncertainty it brings. Like you need to be doing things like that,
right?
Whether it's like, hey, I'm moving across the country to go to college, or whether it's like, hey, I'm going to take on this new job in a different state, or even down to like small decisions on a day to day. Like, hey, maybe today like I'm gonna go for a run on the beach. Dude, just fucking
something,
go.
I'd say something spontaneous.
Exactly, spontaneous. That's gonna challenge you, that you might get something out of. So yeah, so that ended up happening. So I mean, like I said, high school was fantastic. I focused on like engineering, and that's what I got into at SC for college.
So you graduated school and you got a job, right?
Yeah. So I graduated from SC in 19.
Okay.
And I had already been working. So I got into SC as an engineer, and I was like, oh yeah, this is like what I want to do for the rest of my life. Yeah, bullshit. You take the first physics class and you're like, fuck, like you're like, this is not for me. Not to say I wasn't, capable. I mean, I think I got like a B- on my first physics class, but then that summer I got an internship in Germany. I was doing research with this research group, and they're like, hey, we're going to offer you this to go to Germany, to southern Germany, to do a little bit of research with the group. So I went over there. I was there for 3 months. Fantastic. I got to travel all over Europe. And I was like 18 at the time.
That's crazy.
So that was fucking sweet. Met a lot of cool people. Did the whole Amsterdam, Madrid, Barcelona.
Yeah, that Europe trip that everybody goes to
exactly.
high school.
Your typical Euro trip for
How long was it?
I was there for 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I was there for 3 months. So at the end of the whole thing, I remember this very clearly. I was in a park with one of my coworkers, and we were just talking about how much he loved engineering and how much like he was passionate about the research he was doing and shit. And I was like, oh, that's like really cool, but I've always dreamed of like starting a company. Like I'm really into finance. Like I love numbers. And he's like, dude, so why are you here? Like, literally looked at me then and I was like, why are you here? Like, this spot that you took could have been given to somebody else that really was passionate about this. And I was like, hey, look, don't try to antagonize me. I came here to see if this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Like, I'm not going to just come on a trip. I said, I'm not going to just deny a fucking internship in Europe because, oh, somebody else could have it. No, I deserved it. I worked my ass off and I got it. Turns out, though, at the end of the internship, I was like, yeah, I don't think this engineering thing is for me. But I did give it a shot. Like, I went and I worked as an engineer for 3 months. It's not like I started college and like 2 weeks in, I was like, hey, look, this isn't for me.
This isn't for me. I mean, regardless, like, bro, if you didn't end up taking that trip, you probably wouldn't be where you are today.
Exactly.
You wouldn't have had that realization where you're like, all right, well, this isn't for me.
100%.
Okay.
I couldn't agree more. That trip was the pivotal, like, factor, like, moment in time where I realized, hey, you know what? This is not what I want to do anymore.
Okay.
That alongside, like, I'm sure there was like plenty of drug abuse on that trip too, so maybe maybe that helped. But no, I mean, and again, I've told people going to college with, hey, you want to do this? More than likely, like, that's not what's gonna end up happening.
You gotta kind of have like an open mindset.
Exactly.
Okay.
But on that same token, I'm also the type of guy that says, hey, look, you got a year to fuck around and like figure that out, and that's it. Because like once you're a sophomore and you're still in that, ooh, like, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's when like
shit starts to hit the fan.
And then if you hadn't made a decision by then, like sophomore year is like really important because whatever it is that you want to do, it's going to require you to start taking like A, classes, B, certification, C, networking. Like if for example, if you're like in fucking an engineering class all of sophomore year, and at the end of sophomore year you realize you want to go into finance, well, you just missed 2 years of networking with other finance kids. You just missed two years of taking finance classes. You just missed 2 years of possibly doing summer internships in your field. So now you're a junior and you're like, oh, like, I want to do finance, and it's like you're competing against all these other kids that have been doing finance, and like it's just not as easy.
They have a track record and you have
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, take the first year. Like, for example, my first year I came in as engineering. I came in as computer science. I tried computer science for a semester. I didn't like it. Then the next semester I was doing like a mixture of like mechanical and civil engineering, and then I ended up doing a mechanical engineering internship in Germany. So I tried a few engineering things before I realized, you know what, like, my passion really is in business, finance. So sophomore year I came, started taking finance classes, and then I started interning at a bank sophomore summer, and then junior summer I was there, and then I was there all of senior year, which was sick. Because at that point I was pretty much, I was there a lot. So I was already a familiar face.
You were working there full time throughout your senior year, or?
Dude, I was putting in like 30 hours a week.
Okay, and especially being in college, that's definitely a lot.
It's a decent amount of time.
Yeah, so like Monday I'd be all day in class. Tuesday I'd be at the bank. Wednesday I'd be all day in class. So like I'd put all my classes Monday and Wednesday, but I'd be in class for like 8 hours straight.
Right.
And then Tuesday, Thursday, Friday I'd be at the bank. Okay. Usually doing 8 to 10 hours, something like that.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you graduate school and then...
Yeah, so I graduated school, and what happened was I graduated in May of 2019. But all the way up to May of 2019, I had a buddy who was getting involved in the cannabis industry up in Oregon. And in California as well, but mostly Oregon. So he told me, hey, around January 2019, he's like, look, buddy, like, this thing seems like it's going to take off. You should come take a look. So I went up to Oregon February of 2019. I liked what I saw, and I said, okay, I'm going to continue coming like every other weekend. So for that whole spring of senior year, I was just going.
Coming and going.
Yeah, checking everything out. I was like, damn, like, this is serious. Like, this whole cannabis thing, like, it looks like a good business.
What exactly did you see up there? Like, what were the operations like?
So what I saw was, I saw it all. I saw it from, like, people that were doing, like, seeds. So, like, you can have an entire, like, nursery, I think that's what it's called, of seeds, where people just wholesale manufacture seeds, and then they sell the seeds to a farmer. and the farmer plants the seeds. The farmer, grows the plant, harvests it, he dries it, and then he sells the flower direct to consumer, or usually to a dispensary. The dispensary then sells it direct to consumer. Or he can grab the flower and the rest of the plant, which is called biomass or trim, and you can sell that to a lab. The lab then takes the biomass and the trim. So just so you get a visual, it's like when you get a flower, like the top 25% of it is like gorgeous, beautiful bud that you want to smoke, right?
Right.
And then the rest of it, you have leaves, you have stems, you have not so good looking flower because it wasn't exposed to the sun, right? It was underneath the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
But all that stuff still has THC, CBD, it has all these cannabinoids. So you take all that, you give it to a lab. The lab then extracts all of the THC, the CBD, the CBG.
They process it, and then the rest is history.
Exactly.
That's where they sell the rest of the product to some sort of dispensary or...
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's how you have your gummies, your cards, your
Brownies,
edibles.
all
Any
edibles.
edible comes from a lab who took the oil from the
bottom
quote-unquote
70.
shitty,
Okay.
the bottom 75 of the plant.
Okay.
So it's just fantastic for a farmer because, you're having your top fantastic looking bud being sold as top shelf, and then you have the rest to just run straight into oil and then run into products.
Is all the rest sold at like a significant discount, or it's
Yeah, usually.
okay?
I mean, you can get trim at like, it depends. I don't even remember, to be honest, but anywhere. What? No, I'm not even gonna say a number, to be honest.
Okay.
But
Should you
the
say what,
biomass,
like 30-40% less?
nah, way more,
More?
way more.
Wow.
So the bud that you guys smoke, that we smoke, that everybody smoke, is what, 20% THC and above, right?
Right.
Because it's the top flower, it has the nutrients, the sun, etc. That bottom 75, since it grew under way less favorable conditions, is not gonna be testing at 20, 25, 30% THC. It's gonna be testing closer to like what? 10, anywhere between 5 to 10% usually. So that's why it goes for significantly less, because you're buying less THC per weight. So if you have 20% of a pound in grams be THC, you have about 100 grams of THC, right? And if you guys know, when you take edibles, how many milligrams are in an edible that you just get you absolutely smacked?
It's pretty up there,
Wow.
9, 10, like no,
Like,
something
yeah, like
super
nothing.
small, yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
like-
mean, honestly, I've never taken an edible. So
And
I don't know.
man, look, I can guarantee you a 20 milligram edible, you get smacked.
Yeah, you're gonna put on your ass.
So now imagine there's 1,000 milligrams in a gram. So how many servings you have in a gram? And now I'm telling you that a pound could have upwards of 100 grams.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of product there. But when you're talking like, oh, this shit is testing at 10%, and now you have like 30 to 40 grams of THC per pound. So it's going to cost less.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So anywho, so yeah, I saw all that. I saw the whole thing. I saw how it was growing, how the labs were working. I saw how the stuff was moving. And then I saw specifically how they were making a lot of money, a ton of money in the hemp CBD market. Because the hemp CBD market was fucking ridiculous, because it was at a point where CBD, the Farm Bill, is a bill that passed Congress in 2018. It essentially said any cannabis under 0.3% THC is considered hemp and it's considered federally legal. So after that, the industry just fucking blew up.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
Like, what were the legalities looking like back when you saw everything?
Yeah, so it was that as long as it was 0.3% and less THC, it was considered hemp and it was federally legal.
Wow.
You can ship across state lines. You can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Which was fucking great. So like I said, this I think I started going, like I said, early 2019, late 2018. I think I took some trips the fall before too. But that's what I was seeing. I was seeing people literally make, like for example, like a farmer would grow 10 acres of CBD, right? He would sell the top. This is aside from the THC. Because a lot of these farmers are already growing THC, but the THC market is way more mature and way older, way more established than the CBD market was at the time. Because CBD just came online in 2018, but states like Oregon have been legal on the THC side for a while.
Forever, yeah.
So they were like, well, the THC shit isn't really as hot as it was in the past, because the second it picked up, it got flooded, and then unfortunately, like, the supply was just like tenfold demand in Oregon specifically, so the price of weed was tanked. So 2018 comes around, they're like, yo, you can do this CBD thing. They start growing CBD. They start selling their CBD biomass, that's 75% of the plant, to labs. Labs extract the CBD, and then they turn it into CBD oil. And then that CBD oil, it's sold wholesale, is distributed to different people, and then eventually ends up in consumer products.
How long until the CBD market got like super saturated?
It's like a year from there. a year and a half from that point.
Okay.
Like crazy saturated. But yeah, so that was it. I was when I went up there, I was like, holy shit, you're selling the CBD oil for like $2-3 grand a kilo. You're selling the CBD isolate, which is just like 100% CBD powder. It's not an oil, it's a powder. It was going for like $4 grand a kilo, which is absolutely insane. The cost to manufacture these things were like less than $300-400.
It's nuts.
Yeah. The markup was ridiculous. Like, a lot of people made money in that little CBD rush of 2019, 2018.
And how much is a kilo of CBD today?
Right now, you can get that shit for like $300.
That's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's
So seeing all this stuff, essentially, that's what got you into that business, or like
Yeah.
what exactly got you into that? Was it you seeing all these products being,
Yeah, so I saw all that. I'm like a very numbers oriented guy. Like, I ran my models. I was like, dude, this makes sense. We can raise money. We can do this at a big scale. I think I want to do this.
And this was the first time in your life you had to raise money?
Yeah, this is the first time.
Okay.
Something else. The way that I saw the industry was, it was a bunch of idiots running the show. Like, it was literally a bunch of, I mean, to be honest, in order for you to be in that industry at that time period, like, you were more than likely like an ex-drug dealer that wanted to go and start do CBD because the money was so crazy.
So there was, I'm gonna assume there was nobody really business oriented that was going into that business itself, because I'm sure, I don't know, somebody will look back to it and be like, all right, well, weed's illegal. They don't want to get into that business. Maybe there's not a lot of security in there.
Yeah, it's a very gray area business. Even though at the time it was fully legal, there was still, like, for example, when you extract the oil, there's certain points in that extraction process where your oil has more than 0.3% THC.
Okay.
So, like, technically, like, yeah, at the state level, like, Oregon isn't going to do anything. They're very liberal. Like, Oregon's fucking sweet. But if for whatever reason, like, the feds busted into your lab and they tested some oil and it came above 0.3% THC, like, like, that's it. It's done. It's done. No. You're not getting shut down. You get put in handcuffs and you're out. Like, that's it.
Okay.
Because you have a controlled substance.
Right.
That's federally illegal.
Okay.
So that's why, like, you kind of have to be careful, because, like, yeah, what we were doing was 100% legal, but there were so many intricacies within the process where at times what you were doing was illegal, even though it was just like work in progress material. Like, that's not ready to be sold to consumer yet. Like, we're still working on it.
But if somebody wanted to go in there and run a test,
then it would be,
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why, I mean, but that's the thing, right? Like, when you're in such a new industry, that's just kind of the way it is. When it's in such gray area, like, in my opinion, like, the most money is made in those gray areas where you can find the legal loopholes. And you can exploit them really well. Like, that's where a lot of people have made money, So it was kind of the same ideology. Like, look, we're gonna come in, we're gonna take advantage of this for God knows until whenever they're gonna get a little bit more uptight with the legislation, and then we'll be out. Which is kind of what happened at the end of the day. But anywho, I saw that people were incompetent, and I saw that there was a lot of money to be made, and I was like, at that time I was a senior. I was like, dude, like, this is it.
You were like 20, 21?
I was 20. I was 20 because I turned 21 March of 2019, because I'm a year younger.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I turned 21 in March, and then I graduated in May. So at the time, at the beginning, I was 20, then I turned 21, and I was still getting involved. So, like, 2021.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, like, this is a good opportunity. Why don't I try to do something with it? I mean, I've already been taking classes I've been working at the bank for 2 years. Oh, hot shot. Oh yeah, let me go try to raise some money for some fucking cannabis plant in Oregon. Like, hindsight, brother, it wasn't the best decision, for sure.
You said it wasn't?
I mean, 99% of the time, I'm not even sitting on this chair. That's how risky it was.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, shit worked out. Obviously, I'm not gonna say like, oh, I didn't work hard, or oh, like, I didn't play my cards right. Like,
but it was super risky.
It was super risky, and a lot of shit is just out of your control. But the best thing you can do as an operator, as an owner, is make as many good decisions on a daily basis as you can. Right. Like, that's it. Like, you get paid the big bucks to make good decisions. That's about it. And a shit ton of really good decisions eventually will turn out into a really good result. Payout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, but let's backtrack. So you graduate and then you get a job at the bank.
Yeah.
Right?
So I started working at the bank, and at this point, I've been like working closely with my contact up in Oregon, and I'm kind of like getting really involved with the company, and I'm like, hey guys, you guys are, you know, not very intellectually capable. How about you let me step in and I'll do some of your finance, accounting, marketing, sales. I'll build you a nice website. I'll build you a logo. I'll give you a business card. Like, just legitimizing the operation and trying to turn it into a real business, you know?
Because these guys weren't running it like a business before.
No, they were running it.
It was like for dummies. And then when you came in, it was like...
Yeah, I was like, yo, like, you guys could be doing X, Y, Z better. The numbers are there. Like, why don't we go and raise some money, and then you guys can scale and we can sell this business? Like, at the time, the numbers really pointed at, hey, you get this thing, you know, you get it together, you get a good management team, you get some good employees, you get some long-term contracts. Like, you can sell this company in 2-3 years. It could be a good exit. The numbers really do sustain a good valuation. Like, let's do it. And after I started talking to them about that, they were like, oh, you know what? Like, maybe this guy's right. We should listen to him. So they started listening to me, and then I started to step in on a limited role. I was like, hey, look, give me a little bit of equity and I'll do it. And they were like, okay, sure, we'll give you some equity. I was like, all right. So then I graduated, and they were like, okay, so this is what happens. The second you give somebody equity, it could be 5%, it could be 30%. The expectations are just going to go a little bit higher. Even if the expectations were clearly like written on paper, when you as a business owner give somebody a piece of your baby, you have to be really mature about that and understand that, yeah, you're giving a piece of your baby away, but you're giving a piece of your baby away for a very talented individual who's going to come and help you grow the company. Okay. So would you rather own 100% of a fucking shitty $2 million company, or would you rather own 80, 70% of a $100 million company? You get me?
Yeah.
So that's what, like, entrepreneurs have to understand. It's like, when you're giving equity away, and this happened with a few other people that I've met. It's like, they give the equity away, and then they automatically like fall into this, oh, like, fuck you mentality. Not necessarily fuck you mentality, but like,
they want to remind you like who's boss.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's like some sort of resentment.
I think resentment is a perfect word.
Okay.
Exactly. It's like, hey, dude, I did just help you raise a shit ton of money. Why are you being a dickhead? Like, why are you being a dick to me? I saw that friction, that resentment, that, you know, that type of attitude towards me. And it got so bad where they were like, hey, like, you need to quit your job and like come do this full time. And I was like, guys, you do not need me there full time. But they're like, oh, but, you know, you want equity in the company, like, you need to be here full time. Like, dude, I can do my job from here, and that's it. Then eventually it got to the point where, like, the pressure was on, and I had to...
The ultimatum came up.
Yeah, the ultimatum came up. Mind you, at this point, this is where you fuck up, and this is my biggest piece of advice. It's like, just get the equity conversation out of the way first, put it on paper, and then start to work together. There's no harm in getting shit on paper.
Right.
It's the best, is the best thing for you, is the best thing for the original founder of the company. Just sit down, talk about, hey, look, this is what you're going to get in this company. This is what I expect from you in terms of commitment, whether it be time commitment, effort commitment, whether it be capital raising commitment, like, oh, like, I want you to bring X amount of money. Like, put that on paper so that everybody's on the same page and all that, is out of the way.
All that gray area.
Yeah, all that. Like, never do business in the gray area. I mean, you can when it comes to legislation, but when it comes to a partnership, no way.
Everything has to be
black
stated.
or white. Stated. This is it. You're gonna do this. I'm the leader. You're gonna do operations. You'll be in charge of sales. You'll be in charge of marketing.
That's one thing.
That's it.
That's one thing my dad always says. If it's not on paper, then it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
It doesn't exist.
So, a lot of this stuff like that they promised me wasn't on paper, and I was just running on like good vibes, I guess. I don't know what I was smoking.
So the ultimatum came up.
The ultimate came up, and I was like, "All right, fuck it, I'll quit my job."
How'd your family take that?
Oh, it was awful. Cause like my mom's like, "Oh wow, so you just like worked your ass off for like 4 years, not even 4, counting high school, to go to this fantastic school. You went through all this hardship and scholarship, and you worked at the bank for this long. Like, I had a really good, promising future at the bank. I mean, I'd already been working there for 2 years, and I hadn't even started full time. I was kind of like the prodigy at the bank. Everybody would come to me and was like, "Oh shit, how do we do this on Excel, whatever." I mean, my Excel skills are
they're ridiculous.
So yeah, my mom was definitely not a big fan. Nobody in my family really was.
Damn. They thought of it as like, oh, he's definitely throwing something away.
What is this guy doing?
Yeah, like what do you mean you're gonna go to Oregon? Mind you, my family, Miami based, they might know about like Orlando and Tampa, and that's about it. They're like, Oregon, where is this place?
What the fuck is that?
Yeah. What's over there, and why are you gonna just leave your fucking good paying job for this? And I was like, oh, I think it's a good opportunity. You guys are just gonna have to trust me on this one. I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, Why not? Do I believe it was naive? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Was it impulsive?
Yeah, 100%.
Hey, look, you could talk to this guy about that one.
Yeah.
Really fucking impulsive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it was like one day, they came down to LA, like my partners at the time, they came down to LA, and they were like, all right, so what's going on?
But they came out like unannounced?
No, they came out because they were gonna, they came down for one of the manufacturers of some of the equipment we used. They were located in LA, so they came down to look at some equipment, and like I was living in LA.
Right.
So they came down, and they were like, the ultimatum was like in the air, and they kind of made it so that these meetings that I had to quote unquote attend would be like dead smack in the middle of like my workday, like on purpose. It's like, oh, where's Steven? We're here at the meeting. It's like, oh, motherfucker's at the bank. He's not here with us. I'm just laying that out there, like that type of like petty shit. Yeah. That's what was happening. That's like
so
what was
that's the
happening.
example that you were gonna. Okay.
No, there's even more. You'll see. You haven't even seen the beginning. Super petty, and I was like, all right, whatever. I guess.
But you ended up doing business with them still. So how?
Bro, because the opportunity was so large, at least it was in my head, that I didn't care. I was like, I'm just here to make money, and at the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, if I have to work with these assholes who know the industry better than I do, and I could just be the finance, raise money, like accounting guy, like I'll do it. Yeah, I don't care.
So fuck it, you quit your job.
Yeah, so I walk in. I remember I walk into the bank, and I was like, hey, whatever, like we gotta talk, like to my boss who just like was extremely excited. I just started full time 2 weeks ago. The boss who like fought for me to get a raise. Yeah, because I put my dick on the table, because like when I was gonna start at the bank, they gave me an offer, and I was like, that offer doesn't look good.
Get the fuck out of here.
I went, I shopped around. Yeah.
Wow.
I shopped the offer around. I got a better offer somewhere else, and I was like, look, you're gonna have to match it if you want me to stay. And the thing is, he was also like we were like, boss relationship good, but we were also like really good friends.
Relatively close.
No, very close.
Oh, okay.
Very close. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat. Like, we were very close. So I was like, look, this isn't personal, but I do believe that after 2 years of working here, I'm going to produce at a higher level than somebody that you're gonna hire out of college with no experience, or even if they do have experience, they don't have experience working here with you and your people and your clients. Like, everybody already knows me. I already know the systems. Day one, I'm already a productive analyst as if I've been here for a year.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I should be compensated for that. So whatever. So we went through this whole negotiation. I ended up signing, and then next thing you know, I'm 2 weeks in. I'm like, I have to go.
Wow. How do you take that?
He was very happy, actually. But then again, this guy was
You're
grade
close.
A quality, one of the best like people I know, like to this day. You could tell him like the worst news in the world, and he's so well composed emotionally that he just knows what to say and how to say it every single time.
And
How old is this guy?
considering he was your friend as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, how old is he?
like 47.
40s.
Yeah, 40s.
Okay.
You think he'll be watching this?
I hope not. I hope not. But no, he was very supportive. He was like, "Hey, look, I get it. Like, if there's an opportunity and you want to go ahead and take it, like, please do so." And then boom. So then I quit. It was wild. I mean, I had been working full time for 2 weeks, but I mean, I've already had like 2 years worth of like
Right.
work experience under my belt, so it still felt like very liberating. Like, wow. Then I woke up the next morning and I was like, "Fuck, I don't have to go to work. Like, this is kind of cool, I guess." For all that it was, it's cool and shit, but it's like, oh, now you gotta get to work, buddy, because you're not getting a paycheck at the end of the month.
Right.
So I mean, you take and you give, right?
So you took. So what happened? You woke up and you booked a flight, a one-way ticket.
No. So then I went to the meeting that they were there in LA for, and then at that point, one of my buddies, who I wanted to get involved in this whole mess, he flies into LA, and I was like, "Hey, look, I just quit my job," and okay, look, check this out. So this is like one of my like my really good friends. So he had graduated and he also had a job in LA. So I was like, oh, dude, like, yeah, like I'm gonna be living in LA after college. Like, you should come through. Maybe we room together, whatever. So then he gets to LA and he's like, all right, so what's the move? I'm like, well, I actually just quit.
So he gets to LA with all his luggage.
Yeah, no, I swear to God, he gets to LA with 2 luggages. And my lease is up in like a month, so we were supposed to kind of like crash at my place and then go get another place. But I was like, no, that's not happening. I quit my job and I'm sending it full send to Oregon to start this weed business.
Wow, dude. Marcus, bro. If you ever do that to me, bro, I'll be like, dude, what
crazy. And you told him like to come on board, or how did
I was
that
like,
go?
you have a room in my U-Haul if you want to come. He was like, all right, fuck it, let's do it.
Wow.
He didn't start work until, so this happened around June, July of 2019. He didn't start work until like October. It's like the fall.
Right.
So he was like, dude, I'll fucking go. Like, whatever. Like, worst case, I go. And if not, I'll come back to LA.
Right.
So it kind of worked out for him.
Did he end up coming back or no?
We'll get there.
Okay.
So we go up to Oregon, and now I'm working full-time with these assholes. But they very well know that I now no longer have a job. So then this is when I start putting pressure. So then my buddy, he was like, hey, dude, like I'm down to work on this, because at this point he'd seen everything. He's like, yo, this is sick. I think this could make a lot of money too. He has a good finance background too, so he can see like the potential. He was like, yo, you need to get these motherfuckers to put everything on paper ASAP. So I was like, all right, cool. So then that's when we started getting everything on paper. And that's when everything started to go south, because I was like, yo, we talked about like being here, and now like you want me to be here, even though I just quit my full-time job to do this full-time. So it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I don't even want to work with you guys anymore. Like, I'm done.
Wow. And you left like with nothing. Like, they didn't give you shit.
Nothing. And I had even thrown a bunch of my own money into the company too. It wasn't anything crazy. It was probably like 10 grand. But I mean, at the time,
yeah,
broke college student.
Can you remind me, how did you know these people? Like, how did you get into that? Were they like, I don't know, friends?
Yeah, you can say friends.
Okay.
You can say friends.
Okay.
You can use that word. We can use that word.
Okay. You knew of them, and they knew of you. Them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just as different, right? When you're doing business with somebody, like they could be your homies, they could be that, but once like there's real like, and the funny part is like everybody's getting super petty and shit over like imaginary money, because at the time the company isn't worth anything, right? So everyone's like betting that the company will be worth something at some period of time.
Yeah.
So we're all fighting for these points, and bro, it got really toxic. And then my buddy's like, dude, like this guy does not want to give you what you deserve. Fuck him. Let's just bounce. So I had another buddy.
Was that a hard pill to swallow or not?
Yeah, it was terrible to swallow, bro.
Yeah,
I just quit my job. I just quit my job.
How far is LA from Oregon? Because you went in a U-Haul.
We drove 12 hours to Oregon.
Christ, bro, you see, dude.
Out of here.
With all my shit packed in a U-Haul.
I drove 5 hours to Orlando and I'm miserable. And imagine moving your whole life over there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
No, it wasn't only that. It was also like, so it was 2 of them, and like both of them were having like really bad problems. Like they were having terrible problems
amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And then you added to the equation was probably.
Yeah. Well, so at that time, okay. So check this out. So before I even leave, they themselves, both of them, break up. They broke up, right?
Okay.
One of them goes up to another city in Oregon, and then the other one stays here. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I gonna go with this dude? Am I gonna stay here? Like whatever. I end up staying there for a little longer. When I stay there for a little longer, this is where I got it. This is ridiculous because at this point in time I was still like 21 or something. So this guy got a meeting with some investors, whatever. So I walked in. Okay, look. Let me backpedal a little bit. I'm in Oregon already, living there full time. They 2 split up. One of them's in another city, starting his own thing, and I'm still with this guy here, the original guy. So he calls me one night. He's like, dude, we have an investor meeting in like tomorrow morning, and like they're asking me for my financials. He's like, what does that even mean? As I mentioned to you, people in the industry, there wasn't financials or accounting or anything.
They weren't the brightest.
Exactly. So I'm like, yo, just give me a quick summary of what equipment you have. So I have him on the call for like an hour, and I'm able to extrapolate enough data for me to like make some financial documents. And then I'm here with my buddy.
Okay, so wait, did you like make it up or did you kind of?
Bro, it was half. It was like half like he told me this, but that doesn't make any fucking sense. So I'm gonna have to massage some numbers.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
But at the end of the day, the story was consistent with what he told me.
Okay.
I just made it look a little bit better.
Okay.
But the story was there. So my buddy, who's an accountant, he even helped me. Bro, they look fucking, documents look fucking fire. So we walk into the meeting next morning, just me and this dickhead. And it's me, him sitting here, and then it's the 2 partners I wanted to invest who are like big shot guys. Like these guys are like 100 millionaires.
Okay.
And then their CPA.
Oh man, so you know the pressure's on.
Okay. Their CPA and then their lawyer.
Oh shit!
Like they had the entire team present, because I mean, you know, they were gonna make an investment, so they needed their team there. And
right.
I was like, bro,
you're there.
And I'm there.
Yeah.
And it's this idiot, and then it's like, he's like, oh look, this is Steven. Like, you want to SC? Like, it's my finance guy. Whatever. Alright, cool. So he starts talking about like the operations, obviously, because he knows what he's doing on that end. He knows extraction, everything. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, these are the numbers. So I present the numbers and I start talking about the numbers. And bro, I mean, at this point, like I was so confident about my ability to make this happen that like I just did.
There was no doubt in your mind that it
bro,
was going to go.
The CPA was asking me, this is a fucking like 55-year-old CPA asking me questions. And I'm like completely just grilling him.
Wait, but like, are you like bullshitting the answers, or you
no,
know
it's
exactly
a combination,
what the paper says?
It's no. It's a combination of a lot of things, right? It's a combination of like, A, I know what I'm doing, like from a finance perspective. B, I know how to tell the story that I put on paper, and then C, like I wrote the story, so nobody can tell it better than I can.
Right.
And
okay.
if he tries to like call bullshit on my story,
he's
like I already have.
Shit though, because he doesn't know the
exactly.
numbers and the story and anything.
Yeah, no. So he was trying to talk
Damn.
shit. I completely grilled him, and like even his partners were like, "Oh shit!" Like, okay, cool. Same thing with the lawyer. At the end of the fucking meeting, I did about 80% of negotiating. Literally all the talking. Mind you, I'm a 21-year-old kid, just graduated college. This is like, I'm sitting next to this guy who was probably like 40-something. The dickhead was like 40-something. And I fucking closed the deal for him. Yeah, I think he raised, in that end, I helped him raise about like $500,000 in that meeting.
Okay.
It wasn't like anything crazy, but I mean, for the time, homie didn't even have financials or anything. Like me helping him raise $500,000 was huge.
Right.
So after that meeting, I'm like, all right, clearly, you know, I need to get all this shit on paper now because they're about to wire him $500,000. Like, this, you know.
Yeah. like it's about to get real.
Yeah, it's about to get real. And then that's when we go back to that side of the story where he didn't want to give me what I was asking for and all this other nonsense. And it was hard because I felt like, damn, like this motherfucker just finessed me. Like I got finessed. I got super finessed. Not a huge finesse. He's like, because without me, he's just fucking, I mean.
He just has equipment and like some weed.
Yeah, and just some fucking dirty fucking farmer.
Okay.
I hate to use that terminology, and I don't want to like talk shit on farmers because farmers are great people and they're the backbone of the American economy. But this guy was just a piece of shit.
Just so happened to be a fucking douchebag.
Yeah, exactly. But without me, he wouldn't have even raised a fucking penny. Because I added a level of legitimacy when you're like, oh, USC, like this guy worked in banking, like he knows what the fuck he's doing. Like,
on top of that, you took his bullshit and you put it on paper and made it look pretty.
For sure. Like the PP&E, we had this much in equipment. Like, yo, this CPA was questioning my PP, like our valuation. Like, how are you gonna tell me we're not worth like, you know, $5 million if just in PP alone we have this trailing 12-month revenue, and it was impressive. I even impressed myself. I was like, holy shit, like it was cool. And then after that, it just kind of got weird. And my buddy at the time that was there with me the whole time, he was like, yeah, bro, this guy's a piece of shit and he's not gonna give you anything, like at all. Because then at that point, since he kind of already knew that he was onto something, because obviously I helped him raise the money, he was like, oh, I fuck you, I don't need you anymore.
Yeah, he was less inclined
to
give you
wow,
shit.
Bro, that's fucked up.
He was like, oh, you already added the legitimacy I needed, and I already raised $500,000. So like to raise the next $1 million, like I don't really need you.
So how much did that $500,000 like when they raised $500,000? What was that worth for the company?
It was at a 10%. It was for 10%, 20% of the company.
So it was valuated at
2.5 to 5. I don't remember exactly, but it's somewhere on that range.
Okay.
Somewhere like that range. I mean, for some homie, I mean, bro, if you would have seen this guy's company.
There's operation.
Bro, that shit wasn't worth a fucking $100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn, so on paper you made it seem that way. That he was...
The thing is, the guy made a lot of money. So, I'm not saying that. I mean, bro, you could be doing $5 million of revenue a year out of a fucking shack. You know, it doesn't mean that because your shack looks like shit that your company shouldn't be valued at a high valuation. At the end of the day, revenues and profits drive valuations, right?
Right.
But it was just like, to make an emphasis on how shitty his shack was, it was just like, if the guys ever stepped foot in that shack, like, it was...
They would take their $500,000
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, having the financials, having me there, I was like in my fucking little monkey suit and shit. Like, I look good, you know?
What was he wearing?
Dude, he was wearing flip-flops and fucking cargos.
Get the fuck out of here.
I swear to God.
Jesus Christ, man.
There's no way.
Yeah, so at this point, he's like, look... Like, he had all the leverage. Like, I couldn't go in there, ask for what I wanted because I had no leverage. There was nothing on paper. He already had his money. So at that point, I was like, look, that's it. This is done. It doesn't look like we're going to get to an agreement here, and I'm not going to fucking come and, like, be an employee with glorified equity for you. Like, I want to be a partner.
Right.
Like, I didn't leave my nice-paying job with a good salary to come here and make nowhere near as much. I mean, when you're a glorified employee with fucking equity, you know, you're getting, like, 0.5%, 1%, 2%. Fuck that. So I left. After that, I'm like, well... to my buddy, I'm like, all right, so what are we going to do? Like, I quit my job. Like, are we going to go back to LA or, like, what do you want to do?
What did he say?
He's like, I don't know.
So, did you tell your family any of this while this was happening?
Hell no. Nobody knew anything.
So you told them, oh, everything's fine.
Yeah,
this
everything's
is going
good.
great.
Everything's fine. Yeah, everything's going well.
Were you, like, battling that mentally, or it was like...
The stress was very high. But I wasn't necessarily, like, battling the stress. You could just feel it. Like, through your body and your head.
Right.
It was something where, like, you were just happy to see another day, you know?
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I go up, and I start working with the other guy. Because the other guy's like, oh, yeah, he's a fucking complete piece of shit. Like, come work with me. And I was like, all right, cool. So, we went up there to go work with this other guy. And at this point, my buddy is like, all right, fuck it. We'll go up to this other city and try to start doing this with somebody else. And that's kind of how it happened. We started working with him. And when same shit happened, it's like, oh, we need money. And I was like, all right, well, kind of my job here, so we'll go raise money, whatever.
But you didn't think like, hey, let me put this on paper.
No, at this point I was already on paper. No. Okay. At this point I was already on paper. Yeah, I had to learn my lesson the first time.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Yeah. So I go up there, we sign paperwork, everybody's on the same page, and then we fly out a few investors to this new location. This new location's way better than the last one. I mean, it looks fantastic. So I end up securing them. I think it was like $300,000-$400,000 from another group.
Complete different group from the first
complete
group.
Different group from the first group. So I was like, oh shit, like this is sick. Like we're gonna start working here. This is gonna be fucking great. So after that, it's where that thing came in again. The resentment, right? Because then he felt like he was no longer like the owner of his own company, and he also felt like we were trying to make the company more corporate or whatever. And I was like, dude, do you want to make fucking money or what?
Right, that's the idea.
Yeah, like I just brought you like all this fucking money. Like, what's up? So that's when he started acting petty too, and I was like, yeah, I'm just dealing with fucking children here. Like, this is not like regular business. So then I started to see other things in the company I didn't like very much. From like a tax, legal side of things, and I was like, wow, I'm in bed with these guys now, and like I don't like what I'm seeing. So lesson number 2, you have to really be careful who you get in bed with when it comes to this whole business thing. Like you have to really be careful, because you don't know, right? Like, what type of person are they when there's money on the line? What type of person are they when we have to start actually being responsible and held accountable for doing XYZ? And here's a different world, because it's not like, oh, you walk into work, you're there from 8 to 6, 8 to 5, whatever, and that's it. Because I mean, when you have like your typical 9 to 5, like you can't be fucking late to work because you get fired, right? Well, over here, there's no fucking time. Like, time is just like out the door. Like, you just have to show up to fucking work because you want the company to grow. So people might not necessarily have the same ambitions, right? Or people might want to be working on different schedules and shit. So it was just, I saw that the people I got in bed with, like, it just wasn't the people that I wanted to build a long-term company with. Like, our goals weren't necessarily aligned.
Okay.
And plus, like I said, they started to have that like little petty attitude about, oh, it's my company. It's like, all right, bro, like, here, that's something else. People's ego gets in the way of doing good business, always. Like, who cares? Like, dude, you want to be CEO? Fuck it, you be CEO. You want to be COO? Be COO. Cool. I don't care. Like, I don't care about titles. Like, the title doesn't mean shit.
Right. The end goal should be either make a change or the money or the payout, whatever.
Yeah.
So essentially, it was you trying to make a different approach to this company, and then what the guy was saying, no, like, it's my company, let me handle it.
Yeah, type shit.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not cool with this. And these investors were my investors. So I'm like, fuck. Now I got all this investor money in this company that I now want to leave. And I can't leave my investors like up in the air because it's just a bad look. If I want to raise money from them in the future, if I want to raise money from anybody in the future, like, once you have a stain on your record, it's kind of hard to do. I mean, depends. I mean, there's exceptions, obviously. But something like this, it's like, it looks bad. It's like, oh, you got us in this deal, and, not even 3 months in, you're walking away. But I was thinking, no, fuck this. I need to get out of here. Like, this is not going to go anywhere. Like, if I don't leave now, the money's just going to disappear. So at the time, we still had, out of the 300, we still had like probably like $100,000 in the bank account. So we'd blown through 200, something like that. Or was it 4? Whatever. So we had blown through a good amount of money.
And was that for like infrastructure, equipment, and shit like that?
Everything.
Okay.
Everything. We had paid $150,000 for a piece of equipment that hadn't gotten delivered yet. And then we had like $50,000 in the bank account, so we probably ran through like $200,000 or something like that.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm with my buddy here, who at this point was already involved. Like, he was on the papers too. So my buddy that went from LA, traveled me up, went through all the first bullshit of the first attempt, And that was on me with the second attempt. He was in on papers and everything. So he was like full sending this play too. Obviously his work didn't start for another few months, so he didn't really care. He was just like, I forgot I'll do this if it works out good and not. But anyway. So we go and we have this conversation and we're like, dude, what are we gonna do?
So you told him like, I want out.
He was kind of the one that also was on the same page. So he actually was the first one that brought it up to me. He brought it up to me first. And then from there, I was like, yo, you're right. We need to get the fuck out of here. Okay. And then that's when we're like, okay, but what are we going to do? The machine was already ordered. And then we owe the investors another... I think that I'm this is why I hate talking numbers, because I get so confused. But we came to the conclusion, hey, look, we are going to have the machine rerouted to another location, and we're going to start our own company, just us two. Fuck dealing with all these clowns. Fuck dealing with, all this drama, all this beef. Like, we know how to run a company, or at least we thought, and we're going to do this on our own. There's no need to have anybody else involved. So at this point, I tell these guys, hey, look, the investors, they're out. I kind of put the whole blame. The investors went out, whatever. We went out too. That's it. It was good working with you guys, et cetera, et cetera. So they had some personal cash at the time, so they paid some money up front.
To you guys or to the investors?
Well, to us / the investors, because at this point I flew back to LA and I told the investors, hey, look, we're out, but me and my buddy want to start something else, just us two. And we want to know if you guys would want to be part of that. And they're like, absolutely. So that was something else that I respected from them. Like, they saw the pivot. They got a little curveball. Because imagine, I text the investors. I'm like, oh, hey, I'm in LA. Can we do a meeting? And they were like, what do you mean you're in LA? Like, you're supposed to be in Oregon working. Like, what the fuck are you doing down here? So he was definitely expecting like a curveball. But when I sat him down, he was very, supportive of the decision to leave for the reasons that I gave him. And he said, we're still supporting you, Steven. Go and fucking start a new company.
Did he give you any buts?
Yeah, he did. He said, I'm not giving you another $1. Because at this point, if we were going to start the company from zero, we were going to need a little bit more money. Okay. So I was like, yes, we're going to start something new, but we're going to need more money. So he was like, okay, good. I mean, that's fine, but we're also going to need a little bit more equity in the company, which I was like totally cool with, because of course you're going to give us more money. And now it was just an idea. Now it wasn't like, oh, we had even a warehouse. We had absolutely fucking nothing. So at this point, we tell the machine people, hey, look, it's a $150,000 machine. It's like a very nice machine. We tell the machine people, hey, just hold it down for us. We're going to let you know an address to send it to once we have one. They were like, yeah, no worries. So we go, and my buddy, I don't want to say that. So my buddy leaves the company, and he goes off to another fucking random city in Oregon looking for a warehouse. While I'm still at the original company. Why? Because they paid me some money of the investor money that they blew, but they didn't pay me all of it. So I was like, hey, look, you go down there solo, you hold the team down, start getting the new warehouse, and then I will be here collecting the money that we're still owed, or that the investors technically us were owed. So at this point, my buddy's down there looking for a warehouse, by his own, like solo in a complete new city in Oregon. And he finds the warehouse. Fantastic warehouse, 15,000 square feet. Like
15,000?
Yeah. It was a fucking great warehouse right in the middle of like all of the hemp like doings of the state. We picked the best city.
Okay.
We picked the absolute best city. It had the most farmers per capita. It had the most hemp licenses per capita concentration in the entire state. It was the best city to pick. So he goes down there, he finds a warehouse. So I call the investors. I'm like, because we're not really liquid, right? All the money is either
in equipment
or we still haven't gotten paid for it.
Okay.
So I'm like, hey, investors, I need like, I don't know, $50,000 to get this warehouse. and they're like, buddy, we're not giving you another fucking dollar until you get all the money back from the other company. Wow. Yeah.
Jeez.
How was that?
It was awful because I'm not liquid. I don't have 50 grand laying around to get a warehouse. But, you know, warehouse space is so competitive in this city because everybody wants to fucking go and do some cannabis hemp shit. So, like, there's not much inventory at all. So it's like us competing against another 2 groups that want this warehouse. And we're trying to sell the owner, like, hey, you know, we're this corporate guys, you know, we have investors backing us. And I'm like, so then my investors are like, tell him that we'll give him a personal guarantee on the warehouse. So basically just signing saying that no matter what happens, they are personally liable for that warehouse.
Right.
Whether it blows up or whether rent isn't paid, they are liable, which is huge. Because, I mean, these guys have really good liquidity. They have good net worths. They have good incomes. So that put our offer at number 1.
Right.
But now it came time to, all right, well, you need first month, second month, deposit, this, that. It was like 40, 50 grand to move in. We don't have any money. So I remember I'm at the other company trying to collect from these guys like, yo, I need the fucking money. And then they don't give a flying fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't even know we're doing this. Like, they just think I need the money. I'm going to pay the investors and I'm going to go back to LA to get a job. They don't even know that my other buddy's looking for a warehouse and we're doing this whole thing down there. Yeah. So we end up getting the warehouse.
Not only do you need the money, you need it to, like, be their direct competition.
Yeah, precisely so. But they don't know that.
Right.
So we need the 50 grand. I think they end up giving me they gave me like 20 grand. So I wire the money to my buddy down there. He still needs like 30 grand. I'm like, fuck. They're not going to give me any more money anytime soon. The broker keeps calling him. Where's the rest of the cash? Where's the cash? So then that's when I had to tap in, and then I had to make a few phone calls, and then one of my buddies gave me 10, another one gave me 5, another one gave me 5, and before you knew it, I had the 30 rounded up. But I mean, it's a dangerous game you're playing, right? Because now you're like getting money from your buddies. You know, if shit doesn't work out, you don't want all your buddies' money, right? Yeah. But I mean, shit had to happen the way it did. Locally, everybody ended up getting paid out in the future, thank God. And you know, I still have really good relationships with all those guys that helped me during that period of time. We get the warehouse, and I end up leaving, and I think the balance they owed us was like 50 grand or something, like nothing crazy. So I leave, and then I start.
What about that machine you mentioned to me?
Oh, so once we had the warehouse, we called the manufacturer, like, hey, deliver it here, and the machine got delivered.
No, but for you had mentioned to me last time that for the 50 grand that they owed you in order to pay you back.
Fuck yeah, that was another. Yeah.
That's a good one though. That's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. So I leave. This is a really good one. So I leave with them owing me 50 grand. I'm like, it's fine. But at this point, the investors saw that, they paid, they had paid 20 plus another. They ended up paying more and more. And then I had gotten those 30 bands out of nowhere. We got the warehouse. The investors saw, or at least thought, that we had recouped most, if not all, the money. So the investors went and wired us the rest of the money that we needed. So we were in a good position. I was like, fuck it. Like, leave the 50 grand there. We'll figure it out later. Okay, so now we're in our new warehouse. I call up another one of my buddies. And I was like, bro, you need to come out here and you need to fucking hop online. Like, you need to be with us doing this. So he quits his job to... Yeah, he quits his job. He flies out to Oregon, and then it's 3 of us now with the investors. And at that point, I was like, fuck, like, finally, like, I have 2 of my buddies who are, like, really good. They're very competent. They can add a lot of value. They're going to help me run this business. We have a really good, solid team of investors that believes in us and are willing to, give more money when needed. And, yeah, we have this. So... around like COVID hit. So this happened in October. October we had our warehouse, 2019. It all happened. All that shit that I told you happened in like 6 months. It's crazy.
Wow.
That's leaving from one spot to another spot to then going here, getting the warehouse, starting a new business, and then starting from scratch. Like, all that happened in like 6 to 7 months.
Matter of 6 months.
And everyone back home was like, "Oh no, everything's fine.
Everything's fine. You're starting a business.
Steve is doing great."
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so at that point, fuck, there's so many good pieces that I missed in those 6 months. But anywho, so check this out. So they still owe me 50 grand. whatever. I'm still calling. Whatever. So then COVID hits, and we lose like all of our contracts. Like shit is just awful. Like it's terrible, and it's like fuck. Like we no longer have any revenue. Like it was just awful. Like it was really a tough time for sure. And I'm like, fuck, I kind of need those 50 bands. Like I definitely need those 50 grand. So, so we go up there and we're like, hey, look, like we really need this 50 grand. And they didn't give a flying fuck. I don't think they were ever planning on paying those 50 grand. And the funny thing is that money, those 50 grand, like when they originally burnt through that 50 grand, it was to pay somebody off that they had to pay off. Like absolutely had to pay off. They'd done business with like the wrong people. So I'm like, dude, when you fucking needed cash, like I was there, you know? Like
now we need cash. Like,
now it's not even that I need it, motherfucker. I need my cash back.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, whatever. So then I knew that they were selling this piece of equipment that costed about 50, 60 grand. And I was like, look, bro, I found a buyer, which I did. I found a buyer. And I was like, I'm going to fucking take the machine as payment, and that's it. We'll wash this thing clean. All right, cool. So I put the machine. It's a machine made out of fucking pure glass. It's ridiculous. I put the machine in the back of a U-Haul, 50-foot U-Haul. And mind you, I really need this 50 grand. Like the company really needs the 50 grand.
I already know this is going.
We've been burning cash like a motherfucker to get contracts, to really start to expand the company, and then
the company is lying on these 50K.
No. The company is the 50 grand is the most important thing the boys need. The boys are desperate for this 50K, bro. Oh. So whatever, boop. We put the machine in the U-Haul. We tie it. The boys go around their business. I'm driving the U-Haul. 1 hour in, I stop at a gas station and I open the back of the U-Haul. Everything looks good. Well, eat a little bit. Boom. Another hour. Every hour I would stop to check in on the machine. It's a 5-hour drive from where we're going to destination where our facility was.
This is nerve-wracking.
So hour 4 I stop. I check. Machine's intact. So that's it. And the next stop is the fucking warehouse, bro. Mind you, I don't know if you guys have ever driven on the West Coast.
Know this shit, huh?
Have you guys ever driven on the West Coast?
No, never.
Bro, especially in Oregon, in that southern Oregon region, when you're getting to the California border, you're pretty much driving on fucking mountains, and it's just whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, it's insane. Bro, so out of nowhere, I'm coming down this fat hill.
Fuck, this is gonna hurt, dude.
Fat hill. I'm like, holy shit. So I like hit the brakes a little harder than I wanted, and then I let go of the brakes. I'm like,
it jerks.
You felt that jerk. And I heard something go like that. Like a unclanking. Because, I mean, the machine is just strapped with ratchets.
Okay. So
I'm like, fuck, I heard a ratchet unclank. And at this point, I'm like shaking. I'm like, all right, well, and I feel like throwing up right now. I get off the next exit. Literally, I was 20 minutes away from the warehouse. I get off in the exit, and I'm like, all right, to my buddy, because it was 2 of us in the U-Haul, and then I had another buddy that was driving our truck in front of us. So I'm like, all right, well, let's check it out. I remember this so vividly. I opened the U-Haul, and I just see literally oil and glass all over the floor. I see the machine just all fucked up, glass everywhere, and I want to throw up right now. That's how bad it was. In that second, I look at my buddy and I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, holy shit! Like my heart just sunk. Like I've never felt that. I never felt some shit like that.
Your balls into your throat.
Yeah. I never felt some shit like that. It was, like I wanted to throw up, and it was just bad. So then my buddy that was in the truck, I call him, right, and I was like, yo, bro, like I got bad news, dog. Like I broke the wiper. The machine's called the white film. I was like, yo, I broke the white film. He's like, you're joking, bro. Yo, where you at? He's like, yeah, come on. Yo, where are you, bro? I'm here at the warehouse.
There's no fucking way.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, I'm serious, bro. Like, it's fucked. Like, it's completely fucked. He's like, all right, bro, meet me at Walmart. I drive to Walmart. We're in the parking lot of Walmart. He gets off the truck. He's like, all right, open it. I open it, and he goes, wow, motherfucker, you really broke it. you broke the fucking like 60, 70 grand machine at the time. That machine brand new, I mean, yeah, but at the time it was worth like 50, 60.
So that was your ticket to keep the company alive.
Yeah, that was the ticket.
And that shit just expired.
It just expired.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that shit hurts to say, huh?
Yeah, I mean, whatever it is now. I mean, it hurts now, but I mean, it hurt then. Now it's like just another part of the story, right? Yeah. I mean, the story hopefully gets better at some fucking point. Because at this point, it's just been L.
Worse is you have to catch a W at least.
Nah. That's the thing, though. In business, you can take 50 L's, you take one dub, and you're out. You're good. And I think that's people need to understand that, right? That it's not just like
it's not success off the bat.
Hell no. You need to learn so much about not only the industry you're in, you need to learn about yourself, how you perform. You need to understand like how to manage employees. There's so many fucking things you don't really learn until you're kind of there. And then nothing, bro. So we fucking lose the 50 grand. And then even those guys are up there like super fucking pissed off because obviously like I was supposed to sell it for more and they were supposed to keep the difference. But like, yeah, that's it. The machine's done. It's gone. At that point, the boys are down bad. I think we literally had, dude, we were like a month. We had like 2 months of runway cash, like, and it's middle of COVID. Like,
right. So in 60 days, you were going home.
Yeah, no, everybody was like already making arrangements and shit.
Get the fuck out of here.
Everyone was like, all right, well, I guess we all gotta go get our jobs back or something.
Wow.
Everybody was like hitting up family members, like, yo, I'm coming back home or shit.
No way.
Yeah, it was bad.
Steven was there calling his old boss, like, hey, sorry about quitting, brother.
You know, on second thought, like.
Yeah, for real. So at this time, I'm like, fuck it. We gotta start doing something. So we had this strategy where, like, we didn't need like a big $1 million client anymore. Like we just needed to secure a few little tiny fish some way, somehow that would just give us enough to keep the bills on, to keep the lights on. So that's what we did. We got like 2-3 little tiny clients. But it's still, that wasn't necessarily enough. We might have extended our runway by like another month. So we were still like 2-3 months away from going completely bankrupt. And then I somehow, some way, I'm like, fuck, we need to like figure something out. So then that's when I was like, fuck it, I'm going to apply for a PPP loan. I was like, all right, fuck it, might as well. I mean, I didn't think we would get it, but we ended up getting it.
Yeah, they were giving out those PPP loans like it was candy.
Yeah.
Everyone and their mother got one.
Yeah, no, we got a very generous loan from Uncle Sam. So we were very grateful. We were very grateful. No, I'm telling you, without the PPP loan, like, I would have gone bankrupt and the investors would have lost all their money.
Wow.
Like, yeah, people are talking shit. Oh, PPP loan paid this. PPP loan, paid this guy's Lambo, paid for this guy's this and that. But I can guarantee you that people like myself who actually needed that money, like, that money went a long way.
Put it to great use. Not good, great use.
Fantastic use. I mean, it gave us a fresher breath there. Like, if you ask any of my other founders, they were like, yo, Steven, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. That PPP loan doesn't come in. Like, I already have my flight back to LA.
Are you serious?
I swear.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that PPP loan, what, give you another 6 months?
Yeah, it goes like another 6 months.
Okay.
Of runway. So just for future reference, like everybody like raising money, wanting to start a business, like always try to have like at least a year of runway, no matter what happens. So like if the world happens to go into lockdown again, or you don't secure a good contract for 6 months, like you can confidently tell your founders and your employees, like, we're good.
Yeah, bro. It's just I'm a firm believer that everything happens super slow until it happens fast. You know what I'm saying?
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, like you're gonna see, like, it's gonna be damn near like a year and some change before I even make $1 out of this company.
Okay.
And it's just like back to back to back to back L's. Like I would wake up being like, all right, what L am I taking today? That's how.
You're so used to it at that point.
Yeah, at that point you're just used to like there's going to be problems, and there's going to be a need for fast, good, efficient, and cost-efficient solutions.
So was there ever a point where you were like, yo, honestly, like, fuck this. Like, what the fuck did I get myself into? Borderline, like, one more fuck up and I'm out. Or it never came to that. You always wanted to find a solution.
I definitely always wanted to find a solution. And I was still wholeheartedly convinced that the company would make money at some point.
Okay.
So just kind of believing in that.
Okay.
But more so...
Do you think a part of that was being naive or no?
A little bit. But also a big part of it was like me wanting to pay back my investors. Like that was one of the main drives. I was like, dude, I'm not fucking leaving until these guys get their money back.
Okay.
I think that was at first, and again, that was my first rodeo, right? Like next rodeo, now that I can see like how quickly a business can change, or you know how fast you can start to print money when things are going well. Like my main motivator for next business, like it's not necessarily like, oh, like I want to pay back my investors. It's like I want to make a shit ton of money because I know that this whole like business thing legitimately works. Like you stick with something, you do it consistently, you get better, you grow a network. Because look, when you start a business, right, and you want to go get a big fish client, they're gonna be like, all right, how long have you been in business? 3-6 months. We'll talk to you later. But once you're talking to people and you're like, oh, I've been in the game for 2, 3, 4, 5 years.
Here's my track record.
Exactly, it's way easier to secure it. So that's what I'm saying. Like now, it's like. I know that this business thing actually works in the long term. So my main, I guess, ambition or drive is no longer like, oh, I want to pay back people. No, it's like, I want to make fucking money.
And it's crazy to think how for us, long term is 3, 4, 5 years. Like, for example, when China makes plans in business, their short term is 20 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Exactly.
The short term?
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah.
And for us, 5 years is long term.
Yeah, they compare it to like human development, like, oh, you know, at 5 years old, like he's just a kid. At 15, it's just a teenager. Like at 20, he's becoming a young man. So yeah, I think it's also like big in Japanese culture too.
Yeah.
They look at investments in that 20, 30-year horizon. And I guess for me, I'm starting to become more and more long-term minded. At the end of the day, that's the way that you're going to make the most money. When you have a 5-10-year-old business, like it's just a different level, right? Okay. You're like a cornerstone of the industry. Instead of just like hopping around industries and being here 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. Yeah. So yeah, longevity and like delaying gratification. I think it's also huge if you want to be in this game.
Yeah.
Because like this is not starting a business. Like this is not gonna be something where like you're gonna be getting dopamine rushes.
No,
like
the whole get rich quick.
Yeah, like that shit does not exist unless like you bought like Shiba or some shit and then you got wealth like filthy rich in like 6 months. But like if you want to start a legitimate business. Like, dude, there's gonna be things where you step in with this fancy dandy model and a good business model, and you're thinking you're gonna be, you know, $1 million in 6 months. Like,
far from it,
bro. There's so many ifs, then variables that you don't account for. There's so many, bro. Like, you gotta be an expert at it before you start making money.
Yeah, and it all looks good on paper until you put it to practice.
Exactly.
In theory, everything is gonna go perfectly fine. Everyone's gonna make money.
Yeah.
So
that's not the case. So that's my take on that. So the PPP got us through, and in like late summer, the fall of 2020 is when we started doing other cannabinoids. So we started doing like Delta 8. Sorry. And that's when like shit really blew up, like one day to the next. Like I blinked, and I was like, wow. Like I'm no longer waking up and being like, oh, what L am I gonna take today? I'm now waking up like, all right, how many fucking sales am I gonna get done today? Because like we have something now. Because at the time, Delta 8, when we started doing Delta 8,
you caught that wave real early, right?
Bro, I was one of the first labs nationwide making Delta 8.
Wow.
Like one of the first ones, guaranteed, making Delta 8.
And then the whole production was what, a couple $100, and then.
Yeah, we were selling kilos of Delta 8 for like $3,000.
Okay.
Cost of production on those keys was like, I don't know, $300-$400.
Okay. And how many keys were you selling in a week or a month?
Oh, you're trying to figure out how much money I made?
Nah, definitely not.
Nah, and I mean, there's so many different variables, right? Because I mean, there's also your fixed goods. I mean, your fixed costs, your operational costs. We also had to pay back our investors. Like, There was so many different things. But like in our peak production, we're doing like 100, 150 kilos a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you paid the investors back.
So check this out. Before we even get there, before we start doing Delta 8, okay, no, look, we started doing Delta 8 in the summer of 2020. After we got the PPP, the boys were like, you know, we're gonna fucking do Delta 8. We get the SOP, standard operating procedure. We go hard. We start making Delta 8. Then out of fucking nowhere, well, we start picking up momentum, and then out of nowhere, this is where it gets wild. The DEA comes out and gets this like massive nationwide notice saying that Delta 8 is a Schedule 1 substance and that anybody doing it or manufacturing it could go away for 10 to 15 years.
So you get that letter in the mail?
No, this is like a letter that goes out, that gets posted like on their, I don't know, wherever the DA posts updates to their protocol.
Right.
But I mean, I'm in like so many group chats. Like at this point, I'm like a seasoned guy in the game. Like I've been in the game now for like 2 years. Remember, I told you it started in like
2019 February.
Yeah, or like even like late, like fall 2018. I was already like mingling around.
Okay.
So at this point, like I have a lot of people. Like I know I have group chats. I'm in like all these forums, and like people just start sending this shit. I swear to God, I remember it was like a Thursday, and I have like 50 kilos sold. So one of my guys that buys pretty often. Friday morning, I wake up to a bunch of text messages just saying like, yo, like it's done. Like, that's it. And then I see the letter from the DEA, and then I see all my clients just like, yo, we can't touch this shit anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. So just when we were getting like momentum and like hope that everybody was going to make some money and then the investors get paid back, we get that fucking letter. So now anybody that even remotely thought like, hey, we want to start making Delta 8 just stopped making Delta 8. And then at this point, one of my partners leaves the company. Some of my employees are like, fuck this, I'm not touching this Delta 8 shit. So it turns out it's just me, one of my partners, and another employee. That's everybody who's left from like a group of like 10 people after that letter came out.
Wow.
Yeah. Done. That's it. So I'm like, all right, well, that's when I hit rock bottom. That's when I was like...
And at this point, your whole family was like, oh, Steven is chilling. Everything's going great. He's starting this whole company.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so many ups and there's so many downs. Like I had just caught a bunch of ups because I've been selling Delta 8. Then this later comes out and I'm like, whoa, back to fucking rock bottom. Because any hope, dream, ambition of paying all these guys back was in Delta 8.
Right.
So whatever. Point is that we said fuck it.
You guys said fuck it and you kept manufacturing?
We stopped manufacturing for like 2 or 3 weeks. And after like 2 or 3 weeks, a lot of my clients came back. They're like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's too bad. And then a lot of people started saying, by the way, the DEA can't make legislation. Like,
right, they can only enforce it.
They can only enforce it. Exactly.
That makes
sense. Everybody is like, they can't do anything. Because...
So everyone's like, fuck the DEA, we're going to keep doing our shit.
Exactly. Because in the federal law that was passed in 2018, the Farm Bill, it said any cannabinoid derived from hemp is legal. Delta 8 comes from CBD. CBD comes from hemp. Delta 8 is legal. Even though Delta 8 gets you high as fuck.
Right.
Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah,
but that's just the legislation. There's a massive loophole. Massive loophole, right? So
yeah, now you can fucking buy Delta 8 at any
anywhere.
smoke shop.
So now, I got a legal team involved. We were talking to a bunch of people up in the Oregon like Senate and shit, and everybody's like, yo, you guys should be able to fucking run it. Keep running it.
Did the DEA ever come knocking on your door?
Nah, bro, nah. But we did do all this due diligence earlier, and we started manufacturing way faster than everybody else did. Like, there were people who didn't touch that shit for months. So I was like the go-to guy at this point now because I kept fucking making it, and we just started securing contract after contract. Mind you, though, it's just 3 of us.
Yeah.
It's just 3 of us.
So everyone was like, oh, like if anyone's going to get roped, it's going to be Steve.
No, not like that either.
Okay.
Nah, not like that. Because other idiots started to do it too, but they weren't making it well. So I still took all their business.
Okay.
And plus, like, I ran a legitimate operation, had all my licenses, had all my shit. So, like, I doubt I would be, like, a big target for these guys anyway.
Okay.
So, mind you, I was just, like, those 3 weeks of, like, complete rock bottom were awful. And then that's when my partner said, this was around, like, September. My partner says to me, brother, Christmas miracle 2020. Investors paid back. Positive net cash flow, XXX in sales. And I was like, you are an idiot. Like, there's no way it's going to happen.
That's a dream.
Fast forward, December 31st, 2020. Boys paid off the investors. Cash flow positive and XXX dollar amount of sales for 2020. Everything that we wanted to do, we got done. Like, everything we wanted to do for that year got done. September, October, November, December, 4 months. We had a crazy last quarter.
Wow.
Like, insane last quarter, of which was like 2 months of just us three. Like, I was literally waking up and doing all the physical labor of starting the machines, the reactions, doing all that shit. And then I would go and then I'll do the accounting, I'll do the finance, I would check in with the investors, then I would do our sales because I was also head of sales.
You had mentioned to me a while back that you even slept at the warehouse, right?
No, we were living there full time.
Wow.
That's the only way it worked. Because a lot of these equipment, you turn them on at 6 p.m. and it's a 12-hour shift. So somebody has to be there. So I'm like, fuck it, I might as well just sleep here, checking on the machine every two. Like, we would, like, me and my partner would rotate. Like, I would sleep an hour. No, I would sleep 2 hours. Like, I'd wake up 1 hour, and then he'd wake up an hour, and then I would wake up an hour, and then he'd wake up an hour, and then I would. So we had like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Every other hour we'd wake up. Exactly. Okay. So each of us got 2 hours. So that's how we made it happen. Like, we'd go to bed at like midnight. We'd run that play all the way up to like 8 a.m., get up, and like get ready because we'd have clients in the morning. And then our one employee would be out there working. And then we'd do all of our corporate office work in like the morning and early afternoon. And then we'd go back over there and then like help them out. And then once like we felt good, then we started to bring in employees again and all that good stuff. And then we turned into coming. Before you know, we had like 15 people in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's end of year. You guys reach your goals.
We reach the goals.
Everyone gets paid out. What comes next?
We come back in January, and we do the exact same thing. We go hard January, February, March, April. We have a crazy first quarter of 2021 now. Crazy quarter. And like I said, it just happened one day to the next. The boys had crazy quarters. and then it got to a point where Delta 8 then got really oversupplied. And then all of the legislation started to catch up.
So the same thing as CBD?
Same thing. Same cycle as CBD. Second quarter was strong, but not as strong. And then around like summer of 21 is when we had to like make well, at this point, we had a few offers of some groups that wanted to buy the company, and we entertained that for a while too. And we all like one of them like got real close to like happening, but unfortunately, what happened was legislation in Oregon changed drastically because people obviously saw that this whole loophole in the federal legislation was bullshit.
Right.
So a lot of states started to ban Delta 8 like altogether. Some states took a more aggressive approach than others, and I think at the time Oregon definitely took a very aggressive approach.
But you were close to closing the sale.
Bro, I was like 2 signatures away from closing that shit.
Get out of here.
Yeah. It was bullshit.
Wow.
But that's what happens, right? When you're in that gray area industry where one day something's legal, another day something isn't, right? You run that risk.
So everyone packed their bags. You guys took some money home, and then what? You just sold the equipment, or how did that go?
Yeah. So legislation changed. We didn't feel comfortable doing it anymore, and like I said, the price of Delta was already fucking.
Supply was.
Yeah, because when we were making our numbers, we were one of the few doing it. First quarter was still good. Second quarter was solid, but once you get to that summertime, there was a lot of people that were like
Yeah.
Oh shit, the DA didn't give a fuck. Let's fucking go in. Yeah, so the price went all the way down to like from $3,000 probably to like $800, $900.
And the cost of production was
still like $300-$400. So it's still money to be made, but when you have a massive overhead,
nothing compared to
the good old days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we decided, hey, look, we're gonna kind of shut this down here. The investors were happy, we were happy. We just wanted to walk away from it. It would have been sweet to get the sale done as well, but what are you gonna do?
Was the sale big ticket?
Yeah, it was an okay ticket.
Okay.
It wasn't anything crazy.
Right.
It was just like, hey, we got really close and we learned a lot from that. So I'm not gonna say that it happened for no reason. And that's when we decided, yeah, look, let's shut this down. We had a fantastic last like 3-4 quarters after like almost 2 years of utter just bullshit.
Hard shit.
Of ups and downs and almost bankrupt twice and broken equipment and failed partnerships.
Nah, that was an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, for sure.
It's worse than a toxic relationship.
Absolutely. That's why I don't. Stay away from all that toxic shit. You know,
Okay.
Just work with people that are like-minded, that are emotionally mature, that can, make good decisions under pressure, and people that you have fun working with. I think that's.
You think it was worth it all?
Yeah, for sure. Like I wouldn't change anything.
Okay.
I think hitting rock bottom is what a lot of people need to really grow into the person that they can become. And
it's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah.
That you mention it.
And I don't think a lot of people push themselves to that rock bottom possibility. Like they don't put themselves in situations where you can hit rock bottom. But bro, when you hit rock bottom,
dude, there's nowhere else to go but up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you learn a lot about yourself, about your partners, your employees, and no matter what happens to me the next 5-10 years, whatever I decide to do, like I got like 3 MBAs worth of knowledge in those 3 years. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if you have like an idea or something, obviously I wouldn't recommend just fucking quit your job and go for it right away. But I think a lot of people can, with today's like working from home and how flexible the companies are, like you can do a lot of the beginning foundation work for your company while you're still employed, and then once like your business is making just as much, if not more than your salary, then quit.
Okay.
But I mean, this is not easy, right? Because I mean, you're putting 40-50 hours in at your job, and the only way that you get a business to give you a salary is by putting 40 to 50 hours. So I'm saying like, there's no bullshitting on the weekends. Like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, like you have 3 days. You have to grind it out. Like nobody said it was going to be easy, but that's the only feasible way I see people starting a company and doing it without taking as much risk as I did.
It's funny that you say that because there's this quote that goes around and it's like, I didn't want to work my 9 to 5, so I started working 24/7 instead.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
It's pretty much the same concept.
Yeah.
And no one's ever gonna put in the same work that the owner does.
Absolutely. So that's why like you have to understand that as an owner, when like you have employees, like they don't give a fuck. They don't have any equity.
Right.
So how do you like keep those people like motivated? How do you set out like goals for them, and how do you properly compensate them for reaching those goals without giving them, a bit too much leverage?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, like an employee is a part of this well-oiled machine you built that's going to give you a certain amount of output for the money that you're giving them. And it's not just like, like in my own company, like you work at a bank, you're an investment banker, you're at a private equity firm, you're an analyst. Like they're paying you 100, 150 grand, but how much revenue are you generating at the end of the day? You're probably generating 3-4 times that for the firm. So it's the same thing, whether it's a small business or a massive corporation. Like people who work at in tech companies, work at Google, Facebook, like, you have a fantastic salary. Yeah, at the end of the day, they have to try to get the most out of you for that given salary.
Right.
So as an owner, you have to understand that, you want to make sure that those numbers make sense for you and that those numbers make sense for them, and that you keep expectations set for both sides. And more importantly, always have that boundary,
Okay.
Like if you set a boundary with an employee, once it's there for life. And once you cross it, you're fucked.
Yeah, there's no going back from that line.
There's no going back. So if you have an idea of what you want your work environment to look like, make sure you implement that
from day one.
From day one, no matter whether it's just you and your friend or your business partner or your founder, or whether it's you and 50 people once the company grew. It has to be consistent because that's how you build culture. Right. And it used to be like, oh, this whole bullshit culture, like, you know, they try to sell everybody like, oh, the culture here is fucking great, like whatever. I think at a corporate setting, culture is more like a little bit of bullshit, but I feel like in small businesses, like that culture really does drive a lot in terms of output for the employee and in terms of, you know, output for you, the business owner. Like setting that culture there is important. Setting boundaries, all that stuff is critical. So yeah, definitely. I mean, I learned a ton. Like I said, I think I would do it all over again if I could. And sometimes I think like, fuck, like what I would do to go back and be in some of those spots again just to relive them. Because it did feel like it was out of a movie.
It's the best 8 weeks you never want to do again.
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But just
high stress and...
High stress, man, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, obviously, completely different topics, but I like how you mentioned the rock bottom part. I really do.
Yeah.
That one hit kind of deep, you know?
No, for sure. I mean, that's what I can tell to most people. Like, it's not glamorous. It's not pretty. It's not enjoyable. So as a leader, you kind of have to make those harsh times as enjoyable as possible for your founders and for your employees. Okay. Like that is your job, you know, like, and again, that's why like you kind of have to set that up from the beginning. Like, hey, we're starting this business or whatever. And like I said, titles and bullshit don't matter because at the end of the day, if you're partners, you have to come together to make decisions. And at the end of the day, I don't want to make a decision without you because I brought you in here because I like your input, right? Yeah, so right. It's not about decision making, but rather about like who's gonna be that person like when we're all down, that's kind of get the troops together and get us going.
Figure it out, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like somebody could be the designated person to do that, but sometimes that person could
wake himself.
Up and another partner can step up and be that person for that day.
Okay.
But definitely, you have to make the process enjoyable. 100%. Because if you look back and you're like, fuck, I had an awful like 4 years of my life. I mean, some people could 100% be like, fuck it, I made a shit ton of money. I don't care how bad those 4 years were. But you don't want that.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the journey. The journey is always
exactly.
More, the journey is always more enjoyable or nicer than what the destination's actually like.
100%. And no matter what they tell you, they're going to look back and be like, wow, those 4 years were miserable. I'd rather look back and be like, okay, I still made a shit ton of money, but be like, wow, I had so much fun building that company. And again, there's going to be things like I told you. I mean, there were so many low spots in my journey, mentally, emotionally, just completely destroyed. But that's part of it, right? That's like you want to get the big bucks. You want to make all this money. Like what problem would you rather have? You would rather deal with those problems, trying to get properly compensated for dealing with problems. Because that's how I told you guys. Yeah. Good decision making. That's where you get your compensation. That's what pays off. Or do you rather be worried about like, oh, I don't have fucking money to pay for my bills or some shit because you're working like a shitty job or something. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
So you make your own decisions. Like, what stress do you want? And at the end of the day, when I was dealing with all these problems, I was like, there's like single moms out there working 3 jobs, dealing with way more stress than I was dealing at the time.
Okay.
And it's all relative, right? Because their stress in their head might be 10 times bigger than my stress in my head. But who knows? But at the end of the day, dealing with stress is the number one thing you need to control as an entrepreneur.
Do you think your risk tolerance is higher or lower now from everything that you lived through?
Oh, I'm ready to take on more risk for sure.
More risk?
Yeah.
Really?
Bro, I'm 24. I don't have a family.
But wouldn't you say now you have something to lose or no?
No. Not really.
Okay, cool. No, I like that. That's what's up.
No, look, I think once you get to like once you get to your number financially, because you need to work that out, whatever it is you need based off of X returns. Once you get to that number, you can de-risk. Throw your money in some fixed income securities, maybe some mutual funds. Live off of that 8% a year. You're good. But until you get to that point, and you don't have any financial responsibilities with like family, kids, and shit like that, I think you need to be as risky as possible.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
Like, why not? Big risk, big reward, right?
Yeah, no, but I ask if some people have a way lower risk tolerance, or they'll say, "Damn, I lived through all that. I would hate to live through that again."
Oh no, I'm literally waiting until my next venture kicks off so I can be living that shit again.
So you enjoy that thrill, that
100%.
That's that dose of dopamine right there.
Yeah. No, not just that. It's just every single day was something. Every single day there would be something to do.
Your life was interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And we were always chasing that big contract. We were always chasing this, chasing that. And then once you have a fucking hang of it, of like how to run your business, there's no better high in the world than walking into the fucking warehouse and seeing 15 people like an oiled machine just fucking grinding. Best fucking high in the world. And trust me, I've done plenty of drugs. Nothing compares. Nothing compares. You walking in, checking in with the head of this department, checking in with this guy, checking in with that guy.
Especially when everything's in check.
Yeah,
too.
going out and getting everybody lunch and like really creating that, bro. That's what I'm telling you. Like building something from nothing is the most self-gratifying thing I've done in my entire life, and that's why I want to do it again. Even if it comes with those downs and with those stressful moments and that, because at the end of the day, I provided so much for those people too.
Right.
Dude, I had some of my employees like had just fucking gotten there from like other countries and stuff, and like with nothing, bro, and
you alone being able to give them that opportunity is something that's
to give back, bro. To give back. A lot of the guys in there were like cannabis guys who'd gotten like fucked by other cannabis companies because it's like the thing. Cannabis companies fuck employees. That's just the way it is. No, because one day they're alive, the next day they're out of business, and then they owed $60,000 in salaries. Like that happened all the time. People would go out of business all the time.
Sounds familiar.
So I picked up a bunch of really good employees from other companies, and like really gave them the platform to shine, not just within the company, but also like financially.
Right.
Like, yo, here.
Yeah,
so,
everyone got compensated for what they were doing.
Of course, bro. I was feeding, like, I'm not gonna say I was feeding because it's a two-way street, but like I was helping people put food on the table, and then they would send money back overseas to their people and shit. Now it was very rewarding because you also saw all those guys grow from like nothing to like, holy shit, this guy's like doing all this shit for me. I never thought he'd do this, and then they start to feel like part of something bigger, and then that's when they're like, oh shit, I need to stay here for another extra 4 hours today. Like, I'm gonna run it. Cool. Yeah. I like working here. So once you get to that point, it's not easy, but getting to that point definitely feels great.
All right, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on.
Sure. Thank you.
This was long awaited. So
absolutely. Hope it was worth it. I hope.
Yeah. To everyone watching, thank you guys. Comment, subscribe, like, do the whole shebang, and we'll see you at the next one.
Deuces.